What's going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video on Raid Shadow Legends. And in today's video, I want to talk about something that I haven't talked about in some time, and that's going to be Cursed City. I've been getting a lot of questions about whether or not, or at what point in your roster anyways, or your account, should you be building for Cursed City? Now, this might be a curious question for some, because I was looking at my progress, mainly in hard mode, just in general, like how far have I got this month? It's going to be resetting in about 6 days. This is where I'm largely at. I currently float somewhere between 60 and 70 stages per month now, but I wouldn't say that I've gone significantly out of my way to get that done. Well, sorry, that I haven't gone out of my way to get certain areas of Cursed City done. I want to take a look at what I'm missing. Of course, I do think that AMIUS is very important, and if it doesn't break the camel's back too much for you to be able to clear the key areas of AMIUS to get him unlocked, to get the boss unlocked, namely the key bosses, right? I forgot which one it was this rotation, but usually, from these three areas, right? So Dead Rise, Cobble Market, and whatever the hell this one's called over here, Plague Home. There's three bosses that you have to clear every month in order to get the keys. I do think that that's kind of important, but obviously only do it if you have the roster or even the characters unlocked that will kind of help you get there. We'll talk about that and more. Now, before we get started with the rest of the video, I do want to remind people that you can use the QR code in the top right hand of the screen to get the legendary Orc Artak, and also Farrakhan the Fat, Venex, and Cryodan the Blue at accounts level 10, 20, and 30. And don't forget about this promo code for Pelops the Victor of the Argonites faction. Great legendary champion. Just use the promo code RAID7 in the first 48 hours of a brand new account. Okay, so obviously the first goal is in Cursed City hard mode anyways. For normal mode, it's not that big of a deal. Obviously, clear what you can clear and whatnot. Like, I still have nodes I could probably clear. I'm just being lazy about it. The overall rewards are good, but depending on where your roster's at, it may not be worth it to you to try and push for it. There are certain... I should go and clear some of these because there's like some speed glyphs and stuff that I'm kind of being lazy about, and some additional rewards. For Soul Cross is also pretty good. The rewards in here, you should try to kind of get that done too. It's some extra stuff that you get for free every single month. But when it comes to hard mode, it is significantly harder. I mean, the restrictions on the nodes are significantly harder, and you're going to find that there are certain crunch points, is what I call them, that you have to clear in order to open up other areas. There is C5 Agrath, the Nether Spider, where you have to clear this in order to kind of make it through into the next area. I don't really like this spider over here because you still have to clear D5, D6, D7 before you can go there. And I find that these three nodes actually, for me, were a lot harder in the early and mid game than going through Nether Spider. But there's these little crunch bosses that you have to do in order to be able to get through to the next areas. There's also Bommel down here at C8. So you have to do Bommel in order to cross the bridge over here to get to Plague Home, right? Which is really important if you want to get the rest of the areas and the keys. If I'm not mistaken, I think I don't remember if it was this double boss or if it was this double boss for the key. And that's kind of like where you need to kind of focus on, in my opinion, if you want to get towards killing AMIUS or even attempting AMIUS hard every single month, is you need to make your way to these kind of the AMIUS keys, right? The Crimson keys. Eclipse keys. Sorry. And so that would be of importance, I think, in a way. I would not go out of your way to build a rare or something like that. And I probably wouldn't go out of my way to build a shitty epic. What I would do, though, is if you have some epics or some legendaries in your roster that you haven't built yet, but are reasonable, and what I mean is that they're not completely terrible, I would consider building them. Have I built some characters for Cursed City that are not very, in my opinion, not very good? Absolutely. Especially in the epics category, where I felt a bit more okay of doing that. I have a bunch of characters, probably either, I would say in the 50s. I don't often go to 60s with terrible characters. I try to bring them up to 50 anyways, and then utilize them that way. There's a bunch of characters in my roster, like Woosgar of Ogre and Tribes. I do have a 5 red soul for him, but I definitely built him, I think, specifically for Fire Knight in one of the Cursed City nodes, or maybe it might have been Doom Scarab, Scarab King, because he does have a shield buff on a cooldown of 3. So probably that, but I might have also done it for Fire Knight because his A1 hits for 4 times, which is pretty good at bringing down that shield. So I think it was a combination of reasons there. And then I think that was that. And then I have a couple of other ones. Balf the Rancid, who I originally built for Nether Spider, because he really helps allow you to tank that poison damage if you don't have anyone that can cleanse. So they do 50% less damage every turn, and this will help significantly overall. He also does clear some debuffs, so it does help you as well, but that initial tick or the initial hits on the poison, Balf really helps on that. I have a couple of other ones. Claude Beast Feeder. This was definitely for shields, because he also does a shield buff as well. I think there was a certain rotation where I needed, like, I don't know, Ogren Tribes characters, and so he was the only one that could do that. He does have increased speed and all this other stuff. So, but as you can see, though, these characters who I'm kind of using for support-ish reasons are largely kind of stuck at level 50. They don't need to be 60 to do their thing. You can just transfer gear onto them to kind of allow you to get through some of these nodes. Duodin the Runic. Was that a similar? Also, okay, so a lot of these characters that I seem to be using are probably for Scarab King pinch moments, because you need to have those shield buffs up at all times. That seems to be the common denominator here anyways for level 50. There's a few other characters that you can see in my roster that I have at 50 as well, that I probably use for Cursed City, but not super seriously. That's why they're not at 60, right? So that is to say that I have occasionally built characters to make it through certain nodes, namely the Eclipse Key bosses, in order to progress myself in Cursed City. But where I haven't really gone a whole out of my way is like this area over here and that sort of bridge area to Soul Cross. That is something I haven't really crossed very frequently in hard mode, and I'm missing out a few things, right? Because if you clear Sand Devil over here, you're getting accessories. You can see if you zoom in, right? The picture on Sand Devil here, that's accessories for Merciless and Supersonic, and that is important. But I just like, and there's some Cursed Remnants that I'm missing over here as well. Some Eternal Soul Coins. Obviously, all of this is pretty important stuff. Some more accessories over here on this end. But the restrictions to get there are not that great. So, for example, and actually I'd love that energy there. I could do this with my one Cheshire Cat, and I would have to go out of my way to build like Gorlos, Helma, or Annex, which I haven't done yet. It just hasn't been a priority for me. I have a second Cheshire Cat I guess I could build, but I just don't really feel like it just now. That's my point, is that like there's not the restrictions are pretty rough, right? There's like 3 factions and then 2 specific other traits, Spirit and Attack, and it's not a lot of big options, right? And so if I want to break into Soul Cross, I have to do this S6, and this is what I got. Like, just behind me, I have Furil the Barkhorn, and I got some random epics that, like, I have no desire to take to level 50 or level 60. So this is a pretty big deal. So yeah, do I really want to go out of my way to build these characters just for this node? Not really. What are the what are the chances that, characters down the road release that kind of fulfill these requirements? Well, I mean, that could take a while as well, right? So I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here, and it's honestly really unfortunate. Looking at the power levels of the enemies as well, like I'm not even sure if I built some of these characters that are all support, would I even be able to get through these nodes? And that's where I'm kind of like, I'm really reluctant to build characters I don't even want to build. What am I missing, though? I mean, there's quite a bit. Obviously, you need to clear this S6, S7, S8, and then the, like, Sand Devil. Like, things get better, it seems, because when you look at some of these, like, yeah, my character options are quite better, right? We have Empress, Raphael, like we can make a team, right? By and large, and I could probably clear these nodes. S8, well, I got two Donnies. Advantage, right? Like, so this is probably possible to get some of this stuff done. Sand Devil, probably. I could probably somehow make my way. We have Empress, right? Empress can somewhat solo Sand Devil. So that's not a problem, but there's these crunch nodes where I'm like, I really don't want to do it. But then it access to, where things seem to improve a little bit here in terms of my champion choices. And I'm like, maybe I should do it, right? I'm totally on the fence about it, though. And God, some of these epics are just so bad, in my opinion, that like I'll never use them anywhere else. And so it would be a means to an end. And honestly, at this point, I don't know. I think this is something where If I was much further in the game, I'd be more okay, because I've only been playing for about a year and a half. I'd be more okay with it later. Now, what am I missing other than this stuff? There's quite a bit of stuff in here, like I said, rewards-wise in here, but I've gone this long without it, so, what's another couple of months or 6 months or whatever. And I'm able to clear all of my Cursed City hard quests except for these two, which essentially requires everything being cleared, more or less. 100 it is 101, and then all of the awakened stages, right? So I'm not getting the 55 candles every single month, but I am making a decent amount of progress towards Carnage. I'm actually at 380 out of 500 for Carnage, and it's my understanding that he's more of a PvP based champion anyways, not PvE based. So I will eventually get there. I'm starting to see him more actually in my live arena that I'm playing in because of, I think, his main form, because he's got this like retaliation. Doesn't he? Like his A1 has like an active, whenever an enemy hits a champion, has a 50% chance to counterattack, 10% for each debuff on the enemy. So I see this happen a lot, right? And what he ends up doing. And he does have this nice 33% arena speed aura. But at the end of the day, I don't even see anyone ever. He has a really cool looking ult form, but I almost never see anyone use this. So it's, he's a PvP character through and through, right? So it's not a big deal taking your time to get there. And I just don't like upgrading characters for a specific function like this, where it's not even faction wars, right? Like these characters on this S6 node are not necessarily epics that I'm going to be using in faction wars. I've kind of moved on past needing to use kind of subpar epics. Like these aren't even good epics. These are, I would say, largely subpar, and I don't have to use them, so I don't want to build them here either. And that's how I've been approaching Cursed City in general, whether it's normal, whether it's hard mode. For the most part, like 95% of my roster has been just built organically over time. These are the characters that I've just been building, that I've been accumulating over the months, and I'm building them because they're good characters. I'm building them because I'm using them in Faction Wars or Faction Wars Hard, and therefore I get some additional usage over here. It's not the other way around. I'm not building Cursed City to then use in Faction Wars. I'm building characters I want to use in Faction Wars, and then I'm also getting additional usage here. That's just my thoughts. I would love to know how you approach Cursed City or CC Hard in this instance. I do, however, think that if you can, and if it's not too tough for you to do, that if there's like a couple of nodes that you need to build a couple of epics like I showed in this video to get some of these like double bosses down for the keys, I think that's kind of worthwhile. Right, I don't know which one it is for this. Was this the double key? I actually don't remember. I think it was this one. But over time, this does change every month, which is what makes it hard to build specifically for. There's a total of, if I'm not mistaken, 5 or 6 rotations of Cursed City and AMIUS. So that means that, you're only going to see that arrangement of the node like once every, or like a couple of times a year, right? So it's going to be slightly different every time. And so why I don't recommend doing it just for a specific node usually, so yeah, it's tough, but I wanted to kind of share what I thought about Cursed City in general with everyone else, because I haven't talked about it in some time. Let me know how you approach it though, because I would love to know. And before we go, I do want to remind people that if you haven't started playing your raid yet, or you want to start a new or alt account, get the Legendary Orc Artak, get Farrakhan the Fat, Fennex, and Crichton the Blue using the QR code or in the link in the description below. And don't forget about Pelops the Victor by using the promo code RAID7 within the first 48 hours of a brand new account, to get this Legendary Argonite. That's it for me, everyone. Have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next one. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and you'll be greatly helping out the channel. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.